What is going on YouTube? Today I'm giving you a quick video on just cleaning a 5¼ inch floppy drive. I'm also just give you a couple little pointers on selling them and why you should probably pick these things up and what to look for. If you don't know what a 5¼ inch floppy drive is, you are probably a lot younger than me. This is almost even before my time, and I was born in '87. But basically, we're going to clean these ones up that you're looking at on the screen right now because they are pretty dirty. They were tested. I brought them over to a friend of mine's. We tested them on his Windows XP PC. Give you guys a closer look. And it did read drives. So, basically when they fail, there is a head that reads the disk and another one that writes the disk. And they push down like so in there. Now a lot of times they get dirty underneath and they won't read anymore, so a simple Q-tip and alcohol solves that problem. So when you're checking them, make sure that it spins freely, that the head, write and read head can move up and down. Look for any broken springs. When you're checking soldered ends here, make sure the teeth aren't all corroded. These are little capacitors, make sure they're not swollen and popped. They look pretty good. These can bring good money. These models especially bring about $45 on their own working. So we'll get to cleaning them up and making them look good. So to clean these up and wipe them down, you're going to need a few things. An air compressor with a little air bit. Now, if you don't have that, you can use compressed air. I use a little one like this because it can get into spots really easy, and the end's rubber, so you're not going to scratch or mar anything when you're going in there, potentially break a piece of solder off. So you'll need that in a compressor, or like I say, can of compressed air. Usually I'll have a selection of a couple different brushes just to get in the fronts. Now being these are electronics, obviously you don't want to get them wet. Usually I'll use alcohol and a Q-tip to get into these spots. I'm going to try today these little wipes that were given to me. We will see how they work. It's a 1 and 2 part process. It says it's good for circuit boards too. So we'll see how it goes. Doesn't really smell like anything. It comes out like a wet nap. Unfold it. We'll see how this does. That should be, normally you want to blow the dust out of this first, but obviously don't weight too hard on the back, especially because these are little solder points sticking out. You don't want to crack or break any of those. That'll basically leave this thing useless. I don't know if you can see in there. It's pretty grimy in there. You can see where I've wiped it. So I'm basically more or less, I'm just trying to get into again where the head is that reads and writes. So you can sort of push it down and get in there a bit. There we go. Again, if you want to really get it clean, or you're having trouble with it not reading, usually it's this. Get in there with a Q-tip down in there and clean all that out. I'll use this to clean the... Again, if these are really corroded and color faded, you can try like Brasso or a metal polish, or again, straight rubbing alcohol. I'm just trying these out because they were given to me. I want to see how they work. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on these guys. Like I said, they do bring about $40, $50, but I don't need to be spending all day cleaning this junk out. Just figured I'd give you guys a quick rundown. The fronts too are going to be the most important because they're going to look a lot nicer in the photos. Thankfully they're not too yellowed. And as you're wiping it, check little resistors and end caps. Look for any of these that are swollen at the top or leaky. If they're leaky, they will leave a acid residue around here, like a staining and etching. Watch for these to be swollen, the capacitors. If those are good, for the most part it will usually work. You're still going to want to test it. If you don't have a way to test it though, these as is, untested, still do alright. You'll still probably fetch 15-20 bucks for one. The brush, and now that we got that that stuff wetted it all down pretty good, that little cloth. It's supposed to evaporate super quick, so I'm just lightly using the brush to get any sort of loose debris out of the cracks and crevices, bits of dust. The thing probably hasn't been cleaned since the 80s. If you really wanted to go in depth, you could take this all apart and remove the circuit boards from it and everything like that, but I don't suggest that. I don't think it's needed. But yeah, there's like as you can see, there's more circuit board under there. So you could technically remove this heat shield by popping a couple of these screws out. You know, like there is one, there's one, there's one. There's one. And this will pop out and you'll have your circuit board under here. If you do want a more in-depth clean, I'm just kind of getting the dust and most of the crap out of them. Another thing to check for, be careful when you're cleaning it, is little springs like this. You know, make sure when you pull the lever back, the spring pulls it back how it's supposed to. Just all the little moving parts function. So I got most of the loose stuff out. We're just going to plug in the compressor and give it an air gun. Pull off some of that dirt. Now, there's a head in there. Like I was saying, the read-write head, it spins, right? Don't let the air gun spin that up to a stupid fast RPM. You'll burn out the bearings in it. And just because this thing came with two, and this is like the drying second step, we'll see what it does, even though it really doesn't need it. Oh, it's like just a dry, soft terry cloth, just to get the excess off of. There's not that much dirt. You know what? Since this is nice and white, we'll use that to get the fronts of these things cleaned. Alright, so when I'm cleaning electronics like this and I'm getting the face of the plastics, one of two things will either happen. Either I'll take this faceplate off to avoid getting this stuff all wet, or I'll just be very careful and I'll use usually a Windex or a 99% isopropylene diluted kind of half and half with water. The Windex, this stuff has, I believe, an alcohol in it. It dries pretty quick. So we'll just, and I never spray the device, we'll just give this white cloth they sent a spray. And we'll give this greasy thing a wipe down. Give it a wipe down on the front. This is where your brush comes in handy again. This brush has seen better days. It's actually starting to lose bristles, but that's alright. It's really gross in there. Again, Q-tips work too. If you don't have little brushes, you can get in here Q-tips. I just prefer brushes. Now a lot of these too, you're going to push this down and it's not going to go down and you're going to assume it's broken. That is not the case. A lot of these won't go down without a disc in it, so don't force this down. Now that little scuff right there, if I can't get stuff out like that, I do have a trick. I'll show you what that is. A little bit of Plastic X. It's plastic polish. Rub it in there. Just give this little button some loving. Get a little more plastic wax on there. A little bit too much there, but that's all right. Starting to fade away now. Almost gone. Just a whole bunch of rubbing. As you can see, that's about 90% gone. This won't take the yellow off if you have something that's very yellowed. Basically, if you have plastic that's very yellowed, it's due to UV light and the oils and whatever else inside the plastic breaking down. Or if it's an old like model toy or something and you have the yellow going across seam lines, that's usually the glue that you're seeing yellowing over time. There's a bit of dirt on the top too, so we'll get this top piece. Now, I don't ever use paper towel, usually, unless it's glass, because paper towel leaves little white fluffy things everywhere and you don't want that. If you're gonna use a microfiber too, wash the microfiber before you use it, or run it under some water and wring it out. It'll just stop you from getting yellow microfiber bits all over, or blue or whatever color microfiber you're using. So that's one of them. Give you an idea. We'll stack this other one on top because it was about as dirty and you can see the difference. Also, we'll have some before and after pictures. These things will still sell dirty as well. But you know, competition wise, if you're selling one that looks like this and I'm selling one that looks like this, someone will probably pay the few dollars more for this one over this one, just from sheer looks, right? Some names you want to be looking for are Omega is a good one, or Omega, however you want to pronounce it. Panasonic, JVC, Sony, Pioneer. You know, your basic ones that are good with, you know, just they make good electronics to begin with. There's the name. And if you want to know what it's worth, you can usually Google that with that number or with the GG163 and you'll get roughly what they are. And as you can see, now that it's actually focused fairly good, that circuit board had a lot of dust on it. There's a lot of dust inside the cracks and crevices of this thing, so that air gun got them all out. That name, by the way, is also like a secondary or subsidiary company of Panasonic. It'll probably say, yeah, it does. It says Panasonic right there on the back. If you can find them with the cord and the power cord, that's even better. Oh, the power cord you won't really find. That's just your standard 4-prong cord that you'll see in most older PCs. The plug's a little unique on these. It obviously looks like a ribbon plug when it's plugged in. And again, they go on there. And like I said, if that's ever oxidized or faded, a bit of Brasso or light duty rubbing compound will clean that up. So you can see how dirty that is. Let's see if we can't get this cleaned up. You know what, I'm not even going to use the window cleaner this time. I'm just going to show you, just if you want to be cheap, you can use just the Plastic X stuff. Little dime size amount. I usually rub it in so it's not all globbing over in one spot. Hopefully this stays focused enough. You can see there already the difference it made, right? Like I'll run it across here and I'm sure we can see. Yeah, this one was more in a smoker's home too, so it is getting a bit of the yellowing off. A little more information on these. I believe it was, yeah, 1971 when the first consumer floppy was available. Just for your kind of reference. People still use them too. I've seen them work in Windows 7, Windows 8 with certain driver updates and things like that. Like I said, I tested it on a friend's old XP machine because my XP machine's not working and I'm not done my Windows 95 machine. These are harder to test than like a circuit board because you need a computer to test them really. You can buy conversions for that ribbon plug to go into a USB to test these. Again, on like Windows 7, Windows 8, you're going to have to be a little bit tech savvy because you're going to have to know what you're doing to get it to actually run and be recognized by the newer operating system. As you can see, that Plastic X wax really cleaned that up. I'm going to use the brush just to get in these edges a little bit, get a little bit of that loose dirt that's coming out. Very cool. I'll get the top here. And the bottom can still use it. There you go. That one. Off out of the way. And there's that one. You can see this one is yellowing a bit more than that one, so this one's starting to go. But that's alright, and this one has a small little nick there, which again, that's still fine. That's not really going to affect the resale on it too much. You can see some of the dirt that came off on this thing. It looks gross. These little alcohol pad things, or these little non-alcoholic cleaning pad things, they work pretty good. They're like $1 to pick them up. So you know what, having a stack of these laying around isn't bad. It'd be more cost effective, honestly, though, to have a bottle of rubbing alcohol and some Q-tips. But hey, I like giving new stuff a try. There you go though, guys. That is a 5 1/4 inch floppy drive. That's what they look like. Now you kind of know what they sell for. Alright everyone, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully you learned a few things and enjoyed it. Now hopefully when you guys spot an old vintage floppy drive like this, you'll know to pick it up and you'll know what it's worth and what you're looking for. If you liked the video, leave a thumbs up. If you didn't, leave a thumbs down. Maybe tell me in the comments why. Again, thank you so much everyone for watching. Have a great night. Go out there, make some money, and find some cool things.